I manifested $250,000 in 12 months, but I didn't know what would happen in the end. My name is Lucas, and 6 months ago, I was sunk in a hole that seemed never-ending. Sitting at my kitchen table at 3 a.m., I stared blankly at my bank statement on my phone, minus $2,847.63. The words, negative balance, glowed like red neon, mocking my situation. Dad, are you okay? My 7-year-old son Miguel's voice caught me by surprise. He was standing in the kitchen doorway, hugging his worn-out teddy bear. Of course, champ. I just can't sleep. Go back to bed, okay? I forced a smile as he looked at me with those worried eyes that no child should have. Are you crying again? He asked, squeezing his teddy bear tighter. I quickly wiped my face. No. I'm just tired. Tomorrow will be a better day. After putting him back to bed, I returned to the kitchen. The pile of bills scattered across the table told a story I didn't want to accept. 2 months overdue rent, $1,800. Miguel's school, $650. Maxed out credit card, $4,500. How had a once top car salesman ended up in this position? The next morning, at work, my boss Bob called me into his office. Lucas, you haven't closed a decent sale in 3 months. What's going on? I know, Bob. The market is tough, but I'm trying. Trying doesn't pay the dealership's bills, he interrupted, adjusting his glasses. You have until the end of the month to improve your numbers, or we'll have to rethink your position here. That night, I received the message that made my world crumble even more. It was from the landlord, Mr. Lucas. Unfortunately, I can no longer wait. If the rent is not paid in 5 days, I will have to ask you to vacate the property. I sat on the worn-out sofa in the living room, the weak light from the TV flickering in the dark. The sound of the old refrigerator humming in the background seemed to amplify the silence of my loneliness. I picked up the picture frame on the side table, a photo of me with Miguel at the park, from when things were still good. How am I going to explain to my son that we might lose our home? I murmured to myself, feeling the weight of failure in every breath. The truth hurt. I was completely lost. Every morning was a struggle to get out of bed, every forced smile for Miguel was a mask threatening to fall. My dreams of giving my son a better life seemed increasingly distant, melting like ice in the scorching sun of reality. Has anyone ever felt this way? Like you're sinking in quicksand, and the more you fight, the faster you sink? It was a rainy afternoon at the dealership, and I was on my break, hiding in the coffee room. No one was coming to see cars in that weather, so I took the opportunity to watch some motivational videos on my phone, anything that could help me get out of this phase. Hey, Lucas, are you going to sit there all day? Sarah, the receptionist, walked into the room. There's a video I need to show you. It changed my life last week. Oh, Sarah, please, not those coaching videos of yours. I sighed, spinning my cold coffee cup. Just 5 minutes. What do you have to lose? She insisted, taking my phone and typing something into YouTube. The video started playing. An elegant woman spoke about the law of attraction with a conviction that intrigued me. Money is energy, she said. And you can attract that energy with your aligned thoughts and actions. This is ridiculous, I murmured, but I kept watching. Take out a piece of paper now, the woman in the video instructed, and write down exactly how much money you want to manifest. Be specific. The universe responds to clarity. Sarah nudged me, try it, come on. I manifested $3,000 in a week doing this. How? I asked, now more interested. I wrote every day, visualized, truly believed. And an old client appeared out of nowhere, needing my freelance design services. That night, while Miguel slept, I found my old school notebook at the bottom of a drawer. The rain tapped on the window as I looked at the blank pages. This is crazy, I said to myself, but something inside me urged me to try. I began to write, I, Lucas Miller, manifest $250,000 in the next 12 months. I stopped, nervously laughed. It was an absurd amount. My phone vibrated, another overdue bill. I looked back at the notebook and continued writing, this time more forcefully, I am prosperous. Money flows to me easily. All my debts are paid. Dad? Miguel appeared in the doorway, rubbing his eyes. What are you writing? I am writing our future, son. Can you write that I want a new bike? He asked, sleepily smiling. I smiled back, feeling something different in my chest. Was it hope? Of course, champ. I'll write that too. That night, I slept with the notebook next to my bed. The last phrase from the video echoed in my mind, the life you want is waiting for you, you just have to believe. I didn't know yet, but that old notebook would be the beginning of a transformation I never imagined possible. A week passed since I started writing in the notebook. I was having breakfast with my friend Carlos, who has always been my confidant since school days. So you're telling me that writing in a notebook is going to make $500,000 appear? Carlos laughed, nearly choking on his coffee. Lucas, man, you've always been realistic. What happened? I quickly closed the notebook, feeling like an idiot. When you talk like that. Look, I get it. You're desperate, but you need to think clearly. Manifestation? Law of attraction? That's talk for naive people. His words weighed like lead. That afternoon, at the dealership, I found myself staring at a new Porsche in the showroom. A customer walked in, all dressed up, BMW keys in hand. Can I help you? I asked, forcing a smile. Just looking, he replied curtly, barely making eye contact. I sat at my desk, opening the hidden notebook. The words I had written seemed ridiculous now. I am a successful salesperson. Customers trust me. What nonsense, I muttered, slamming the notebook shut. At home, I found yet another collection letter. The bank threatened to ruin my credit. I grabbed my phone to call my mom, to ask for a loan, but I stopped. The shame was greater. Dad, look what I did at school. Miguel ran up to me with a drawing. It was our house, much bigger than it actually was, with a car in the driveway. It looks nice, son, I replied, distracted. It's our future home. Just like you're writing in the notebook. His words hit me. He had hope in me while I was giving up. That night, I couldn't sleep. Doubtful voices echoed, who do you think you are? You've always been a failure with money. I picked up the notebook to throw it in the trash, but something stopped me. I opened to a random page where I had written, I am worthy of abundance. Worthy of abundance? I whispered bitterly. Not even worthy of rent. The phone rang. It was Bob, my boss. Lucas, we need to talk tomorrow morning. The numbers are still bad. I hung up the phone and looked at the notebook again. Doubt and fear were fighting inside me. It was easier to give up, to accept that some people just aren't meant to succeed. How can someone manifest money when they can barely manifest hope? I thought, closing my tired eyes. At that moment, I didn't know if I was more afraid of everything going wrong or everything going right. The next morning, I arrived early at the dealership. The parking lot was empty, except for an old car parked in the employee spot. A gray-haired lady was sitting in the driver's seat, apparently having trouble. "Do you need help?" I asked, approaching. "Oh, yes. My car won't start," she smiled, introducing herself as Diana. As I checked the engine, she commented, "You have a heavy energy around you." Normally, I would ignore that kind of comment, but something in her voice made me stop. "What do you mean?" "Your thoughts, dear. They are creating a dark cloud over you. You know, I was a financial consultant before I retired. I lost everything in 2008, but I discovered something more valuable than money." Diana opened her bag and pulled out a small blue-covered book. "It's a gratitude journal. Not just any journal, it's a powerful manifestation tool." "I've tried those manifestation things," I replied, discouraged. "They didn't work." "Oh, but did you try it with gratitude?" She opened the journal. "Look, every day I write 3 things: what I have, what I want, and why I am grateful for what is yet to come. How can I be grateful for something I don't even have?" "That's exactly the secret," she smiled. "Before going to bed, write as if you have already received it. I am grateful for the $5,000 I received today." Feel the emotion of gratitude. The universe does not distinguish between past and future, it responds to your present emotion. Diana handed me a new journal, still sealed. "Start today. 3 pages, morning, afternoon, and night. And most importantly, feel every word you write. I can't accept. You can. And when your life changes, pay it forward to someone who needs it." That night, I sat in the kitchen with the new journal. Unlike other times, I didn't start by listing what I wanted. I wrote, "I am grateful for the air I breathe, for Miguel's smile, for the opportunity to start over." Suddenly, something changed inside me. A feeling of peace, even amidst the chaos. "Dad, you're smiling." Miguel noticed, walking into the kitchen. "I'm practicing gratitude, son. Want to try?" He sat next to me, and together we wrote, "We are grateful for our new home, for the new bike, for being happy." For the first time, I didn't feel like I was lying to myself. Gratitude transformed my desires into something more real, more tangible. Diana was right, there was a difference between manifesting out of desperation and manifesting with gratitude. 2 weeks passed since I started the gratitude journal. Something subtle began to change. First, I noticed it in the little things. A customer who was usually rude greeted me with a smile. Then, Sarah called me excitedly, "Lucas, remember that podcast about sales I recommended? They're looking for salespeople's stories for a special episode." "So what?" I asked, organizing my desk. "So I sent your story about how you sold that Audi to the impossible customer last month. They loved it. They want to interview you." My heart raced. I grabbed my journal and read what I had written 3 days earlier. "I am grateful for the opportunities to show my work to more people." On the day of the online interview, my hands were sweating. The host asked about my sales techniques, and I was surprised to speak naturally about human connection and understanding customers' needs. "Dad, you're on the internet!" Miguel shouted excitedly, watching the podcast the next day. The episode went viral among sales professionals. My phone started ringing, other salespeople wanting tips, managers curious about my techniques. Bob called me into his office. "Lucas, your numbers improved by 40% this month. What changed?" I smiled, thinking of the journal in my drawer. "I changed my perspective, Bob." "Well, keep it up. I'm promoting you to team leader." That night, I opened my journal and wrote, "I am grateful for the $800 raise I received today. For the first time in years, I didn't have to choose between paying rent or the bills. Sarah noticed the change. There's something different about you. Even your posture has changed. You know that manifestation you showed me? I found my own method. Teach me? She asked, her eyes shining. I remembered Diana's words about passing it on. I bought a new journal for Sarah and explained the process. A month later, I received a message from her. Lucas, you won't believe it. I got 3 new clients for my freelance work. At home, Miguel surprised me by drawing in his own little notebook. I'm doing the same as you, Dad. Writing thank you for the good things. I looked at my bank account, $3,200 saved. It wasn't a fortune, but it represented more than money. It was proof that something was working. How long until we're rich, Dad? Miguel asked innocently. It's not about being rich, son, I replied, realizing the truth in my own words. It's about being grateful for the journey. That night, I wrote in the journal, I am grateful for finally understanding that true manifestation begins with a grateful heart. Fall arrived, bringing news that would change everything. I was in the office when Bob came in with a gentleman in a perfectly tailored suit. Lucas, this is Mr. Thompson, the owner of the largest dealership network in the state. Impressive podcast, Mr. Thompson began. But even more impressive were your results from the last few months. How many cars did you sell again? 42, sir. In 3 months. And you trained your team to do the same, he smiled. I'm opening a new dealership. I need a general manager who understands people, not just numbers. My heart raced. I discreetly opened the drawer, touching my journal where I had written, I am grateful for the opportunity to lead my own business. The starting salary is $250,000 per year, plus performance bonuses, Mr. Thompson continued. And profit sharing after the first year. That night, I sat down with Miguel to talk. Son, we're going to have to move. It's to another neighborhood, but... Is it that house I drew? His eyes lit up. Not exactly, but... It doesn't matter, Dad. You're happy, I can see it on your face. I took out my old journal, rereading the first pages. The tear stains were still there, along with the desperate words from months ago. The next day, Sarah hugged me tightly. You did it. I always knew you would. Actually, no, I confessed. I didn't believe it. Until I started being grateful for what I didn't have yet. And now? Now I understand that money was just part of it. The true manifestation was realizing my own worth. On my first day as general manager, I entered the new dealership before dawn. The building was still empty. I sat in my office, and opened a new journal. I am grateful, I wrote, not for the position, not for the salary, but for learning that I deserve abundance. My phone rang, it was Diana. I felt today was a big day for you, she said. How did you know? Gratitude has that special energy. Now it's your turn to spread that energy. I looked out the office window, seeing the first employees arriving. People who now depended on my leadership. You know, Diana, I finally understood. I didn't manifest money, I manifested the person I needed to become. Exactly, dear. And that is the greatest manifestation of all. I put the journal in the drawer, ready for my first day. I was no longer that desperate salesperson. I was a grateful, confident man, and more importantly, aware of my own power to create reality. A year later, I returned to that same dealership where it all began. The empty parking lot brought back memories. I sat in the same spot where I met Diana and opened my current journal. "Dad, why did we come here?" Miguel asked, now taller and more confident. "Because it was here that I learned the greatest lesson of my life, son." I took out of the trunk a box with 50 new journals. The week before, I had received my first annual bonus, $65,000. Instead of buying that car I had always dreamed of, I decided to invest in something different. "Sarah, can you bring your team out here?" I asked on the phone. Minutes later, 15 salespeople gathered in the parking lot. I recognized in their eyes the same desperation I once had. "A year ago, I was where you are," I began. "I couldn't pay my bills, I was afraid of the future. Until I learned something more valuable than sales techniques." I handed out the journals, explaining the process that changed my life. It's not about writing wishes. It's about feeling gratitude for what hasn't happened yet. But how can you be grateful when everything is falling apart? A young salesperson asked. "Start with the basics," I replied. "Be grateful for the air you breathe, for the sun that rises, for the chance to start over. Gratitude is like a small light that grows until it illuminates the whole path." Sarah smiled, showing her own worn journal. "It works, everyone. My earnings tripled since I started." Miguel tugged at my sleeve. "Show them that first page, Dad." I opened my old journal. Here is my first gratitude entry, made at the hardest moment. And here, a year later, the realization of every word written. "But what if it doesn't work out?" someone asked. "The question isn't whether it works or not," I replied. "It's about who you become in the process. Money, success, are consequences of your inner transformation." That night, at home, I received dozens of messages from the salespeople, already starting their gratitude practices. Miguel showed me his own journal, where he was writing about his dreams of being a scientist. I sat on my porch, looking at the stars. I thought about Diana, how a seemingly casual meeting changed everything. I opened my journal one last time that day. I am grateful not for what I've achieved, but for who I've become. I am grateful for the ability to help others discover their own power. I am grateful for understanding that true abundance starts in the heart. Because in the end, the greatest manifestation wasn't the money in the bank, the new house, or the position. It was discovering that I always had the power to change my reality. I just needed to believe, be grateful, and take action. And you, who are watching this now, what reality do you want to manifest? Grab a piece of paper, write down your gratitude, and watch the magic happen. The universe is waiting for your first thank you. So, what did you think of this incredible transformation story? If something in this video inspired you, leave a like so that more people can see it. Write in the comments, "I believe in change," and share how you plan to transform your life. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss more content that can help you take the next step towards your dreams. The universe is waiting for your move, and so am I. Until the next video.